is close with the Chief Taylor. So I would tell them, I say, I don't know. And they go, yeah, they putting my son in jail. So I literally had about a dozen of these type of reports that I verified to be true. Plus, I started, when I would hear little Reggie go out, and then they would come in or ask for, remember the van? When they had extra people or another unit?
Mm-hmm.
They would call, and I started coming into the station, right? And I was seeing, and all these motherfuckers, all these dudes, these brothers had 1 rock or 2 rock. That's bullshit, man. And the watch commander was signing the shit. I'm like, there's no fucking way these dudes are out on the corner selling 1 rock and then they're getting hit with distribution charges. So I said, okay, he's dirty. He's a crook. So I went and finally reported it first to the people who you would think would do something about it, like IA. Nothing. But what happened after I reported to IA, immediately, like the next day when I came to work, and this is where the story started before, I was in gangs. It was me, Aguirre, Tim, who the neighborhood calls Blondie, and his partner Lad. And they were in there, and Reggie comes in, Big Reggie, who's the small one.
Right, the older
small one. We used to call him Stressy because he reminded us of George Jefferson on, remember that show,
yeah.
The Jeffersons?
The Jeffersons, they used to call him Sergeant What If.
Yeah, anyway, so Reggie comes in, slams the door. He slams the door. I shouldn't laugh, but he's all mad. It's like, pow, 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 pow. You going around saying Junie's a crook. And I said, yeah, Junie is a crook. And he was like, Paul, you can't be calling Junie a crook. And if you do, I'm gonna kick your ass out of gangs. I said, well, Junie's a crook. I'll stop, calling him a crook when he stopped being a crook. And he putting all the dudes I grew up with in jail and shit on some bullshit charges. So Reggie said, I'm kicking your ass out of gangs, which he did. I didn't give a fuck. I went upstairs and we had a captain. His name, we'll just use his initials, PP, Captain. Everybody know who it is. He was cool. I got along with him. And he came in, I came in there. He was like, Paul, the barn doors are open and the horses are away. I was like, and my dad was in there too, just sitting there. And I was like, okay, sir. I'm sitting there like, the barn doors are open and the horses are away. What's that mean? He goes, you better watch, you're upsetting people with the stuff. I was like, I'm not upsetting nobody. I said, I'm not backing down either. I said, I'm not backing down. Reggie's a damn crook. Next thing I know, they put me back in patrol, or the zebra units. It wasn't really patrol. and they were trying to punish me and stuff like that for telling the truth. So what I did was, you remember Burrell had got killed.
Yeah.
Him and Jimmy got killed like a year before that. And I found out that the state of California had paid for all the services, like the funeral services and stuff. That normally wouldn't be a problem, but the thing is, me and Kevin worked at so many places, like McDonald's and Cerritos. They gave like $3 or $4 grand check. We worked up in the South Central over there by Crenshaw High.
Mm-hmm.
We worked at a bunch of really kind of like rough places, and all those people, all those corporations donated when Kevin got killed, and they gave me the check. So I collected these checks, and because I found out that the state had paid for everything, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Why don't I just go get those checks back and split it between the McDonald's and the Burrells for their family or trust or whatever they want to do with the money. It's their money. It's their family. I mean, both of their sons died in service, So it's like, so I went up there and they kept BSing me for like months. Every time I went over to the union, I was like, hey, I need those checks that collected when Burrell and McDonald's got assassinated. And they kept bullshitting. And then one day I went in there, and that's why I love D-Dub. One day I went into narcotics. I'm like, hey, what the fuck is with this? I said, I'm trying to get some checks. And they keep BSing me, man.
Because our office was right next door.
Yeah, it was right catty corner. I mean, they were touching.
Right.
And then he was like, hey, man, I heard about that. This D-Dub. He said, I heard about that. I don't think those checks are there. And then D-Dub, D-Dub calls up. I'm not going to say who it is because they get in trouble. Even though today, anyway, they did the right thing. They opened up the safe and they said, these checks don't exist. I said, do you guys sign them out? He goes, yeah. I go, these are checks that were collected like right after Kevin got killed. So it'd be like February of 93 or early March of 93. Nothing there. So I didn't panic. I said, maybe they moved it to another safe. But I came back and I verified basically, not only were the checks gone, but a little bird told me, hey, you should get the chief to do, or IA to do an investigation because these checks, they're not missing. Somebody used them.
Or call an outside agency.
Somebody used them. And you know, because of the shit with the other chief, Ebert and all that shit. Yeah. So I'm thinking in my head, damn. So anyway, I started my own little shit. And I found out that these people, somebody took those checks after Kevin and them got killed. And I'm putting this out now because, and please say a prayer for Miss McDonald because she don't know this. But it's important to tell is there's a lot of people, especially around Compton PD and the city of Compton, that have no idea. All they said was all of a sudden that, you know, Red Mason Jr. he went crazy, which is stupid. This is stupid. I had no lawsuits, no complaints. Now all of a sudden I'm crazy because I'm telling the truth about Reggie. And now on top of that, we got stolen checks from dead cops. Hey man, I say, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna find out who did this, right? So I went up to the chief thinking he was gonna go, what? We gotta, you know.
We gotta do something about it. Be shocked.
Yeah, the exact opposite. And his words to me was, I quote, we are not doing an investigation for that. So I said, Chief, why? Why wouldn't you do an investigation of missing checks from dead cops? He goes, Paul, we're not doing an investigation, okay? And he's like dismissing me. I said, well, Chief, you ain't gonna do nothing about it. You're a crook. And he said, what? I said, you're a crook. If you're either involved in it or you're supporting it or something. Get out of, you know, he just nutted up. So that's where it started. And that was basically my last few days because I had went to the newspaper prior to that because, you know, the same reason I knew about you and the other officer, I heard stuff. I said, okay, I got to go to the paper. They're all dirty. They're just dirty. They're dirty. So I went to the newspaper, the Compton Wave and the Long Beach Telegram. The Long Beach Telegram, they talked to me about an hour. They recorded it, but I don't think they printed anything about it. They may have, but I don't remember. But the Compton Wave.
Do you remember who you talked to?
No, a female. But the Compton Wave, I told them about all the stuff that I just related to everybody on the camera. I told the Compton Wave about that. I was in there with their editor at the time, and they tape recorded everything. So I do all that, and I said, now you guys gonna publish something for real? And he said, yeah, I guarantee you we're gonna publish something. But what he did was, they didn't publish what I told them about the corruption. They published a story like roommate of a fallen officer. Yeah, officer honored him or something. And a picture over there on Rosecrans where we were last time. Yeah. Okay. Well, another officer came to my house when that newspaper article came out. And I knew already when the newspaper hit, if they told what I actually said, like I just said on camera, they would, there would be a reaction from the chief. It wouldn't favor my ass, you know. So
it didn't.
You know, I'm a military guy. I'm strategic. I'm like, okay, this is gonna provoke. So anyway, Nothing happened for about a week. And one day I was at home and the security guard, I lived with Kevin. I still had the apartment in Paramount, right there on Compton Boulevard, which is Somerset.
Yeah. I lived catty corner from you.
Okay.
Compton, remember that?
So the security guard calls me. I heard a siren coming down the street, but you hear sirens going down the street all the time. So anyway, the security guard calls me. He's like, "Hey man, there's a cop down here at Compton PD. I'm gonna let him in. He told me to call you and open the gate right away." So I go downstairs, and there was one of our colleagues were there. I'm not gonna say who it was, and he says, "Hey Mason, don't go to Compton." I said, "Why?" He said, "They just came in the briefing and told us to arrest you."
I remember that day.
And I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, the article must have came out." But I'm thinking the article must have told the truth because I hadn't seen the paper. He goes, "Don't come." I go, "What's the reason they gave?" He goes, "I don't know. Don't come to
They told us in briefing, if you guys see Paul Mason out in the street, you arrest him. And a lot of us stood up and I was in shock, man. I said, "What are you going to arrest him for?" I'm saying that to myself. Yeah. And and everybody else in the...
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Well, why? Well, you just make sure you bring him into the station.
Yeah.
And we were in shock, man.
I got about 16 beeps too. Beeps. And I would call people and they're like, "Man, Mason, they said to arrest you if you come to Compton." I say, "What did they say to arrest me for?" He goes, "They wouldn't give a reason. They just said arrest you." I go, "Saying they're full of shit, man."
You know?
But I was always worried there'd be some kiss ass, and we had a lot of kiss asses up there. I said, some kiss ass is gonna try me, and this is gonna end up bad.
You were absolutely right. You know?
That'll make the paper. Getting back to that story. So me and the chief were at odds. He put out a hit team to arrest me for telling the truth, I guess. This is the same day, whatever day the newspaper, the Compton Wave. I had a copy of that in my records too. I don't have that either, but I'm sure they have a copy in their archives. Whatever day that was my last day of work. They could not fire me. So they said, they start putting out rumors that, Paul's a 5150 now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. He's 5150 because Kevin got killed 2 years ago or whatever. So I say, okay, I see what angle they're going. So, and then my father called me. He was calling me. He was upset because he was scared that what Red was afraid of was some kiss ass was going to shoot me or something because he knew I wasn't going to back down. Yeah. And I told him this is going to be bad. And I told Red's like, "Paul, stay out of Compton." I go, "Oh, I'm going to Compton right now. You can tell him I'll be at Compton and Willowbrook." Like Paul, and Red was like, "Paul, listen to me. I'm your daddy." I'm like, "No, I'll be right at Compton Willowbrook. I dare one of them son of a bitches to try to arrest me. I dare." It's like, yeah. Yeah. I will. Hell yeah, but right in front of God never, which one of you punks wants some? Nah, nobody. They just laughed. Most of the guys were cool, but one guy pulled up, and I never worked with him, so I can't really describe his personality. He pulled up, he was a detective at the time, and he said, "Hey Mason, the chief took you." I said, "I haven't seen the chief." He goes, "Well, the chief put you on administrative leave." I said, "He's got to tell me that, not you, right?"
Just serve you some papers.
And he goes, "Well, you're not supposed to be carrying or anything like that." I go, "Says who? Says who?" And he was like, "Mason, I'm just trying to tell you." I'm like, why are you telling me that? I got a right to carry a gun. Compton PD can't strip me of my First Amendment rights, right? So we kind of went back and forth, and I go, "That's the kind of guy that's trying to make points with the chief. He trying to be cool or trying to act like he's my friend, but he's not." I could feel the energy was off. So anyway, I hung out there for a couple of days. And yes, I did have some backup there. They're still alive. They'll be on camera one day. They're both Marines. that I work with in the service, and we've always protected each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't really out there so long. Yeah, but I was. Yeah.
No, I know you were.
Yeah. I was on the ground alone. Yeah. But anyway, so the chief basically fires me.